Good morning. The chapter for today is Tissues, the Building Blocks of Life. Let's see the subheadings of this chapter. Tissues, plant tissues, meristematic tissue, permanent tissue, animal tissues, epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue, and nervous tissue. Tissues. The body of an organism has several types of cells. Cells of each type serve a specified function. Cells having similar role form a unit called tissue. Various tissues of an organism work in coordination with each other to perform life processes. Tissues are a group of similar cells performing the same function and having a common origin. The study of tissues and their functions is known as histology. Did you know that plants are able to produce new tissues throughout their life? Animals cannot do so. Plant tissues. Plant tissues are divided into following two types on the basis of their stage of development and dividing capacity. The first one being meristematic tissue and the second one is permanent tissue. Meristematic tissue. Meristos means divided. A meristematic tissue is a group of young cells that have the capacity of active cell division. This tissue is found in all the growing parts of the plant, such as root tip and shoot tip. Characteristics of meristematic tissue. They are living cells compactly packed with almost no intracellular spaces. The vacuoles are almost absent. Cells are small, thin-walled and cuboidal in shape. They have dense granular cytoplasm. The nucleus is large, prominent and centrally located. The cells are immature and undifferentiated. They continue to divide indefinitely, adding new cells to plant. They don't store reserve food material. They are usually found at the tip of the root and shoot. After maturation, new cells produced are transformed into permanent tissues. Types of meristems. According to their positions in the plant body, meristems are categorized into three types: apical meristem, intercalary meristem, lateral meristem. Let's see the apical meristem. It is located at the growing tips, that is apices of stem, roots and their branches, in the growing young leaves and also on the tip of axillary buds. It consists of a group of cells which give rise to primary permanent tissues. Due to the growth of apical meristems, there is an increase in the length of stems and roots. Intercalary meristem. It is a part of apical meristem which gets separated from apex due to the development of permanent tissue in between. Intercalary meristem helps in elongation of the organs and are present mostly at the base of the nodes, internodes and leaves. Lateral meristem. Cambium. Lateral meristem occurs on the sides of the roots and stem and is responsible for an increase in the diameter, that is girth of the plant, roots and stem. These tissues are also responsible for growth in thickness by addition of secondary tissue, and this phenomena is called secondary growth. Some plants grow in thickness by producing new tissues laterally from root tip to shoot tip with the help of vascular cambium tissue. Cork cambium are found in the bark of roots and stems of woody plants. The cambium of vascular bundles and the Cork cambium are examples of lateral meristems. Permanent tissue. A permanent tissue is made up of cells that have lost their ability to multiply and in which growth has either stopped completely or for the time being. These cells may be dead or living. On the basis of functions performed, the permanent tissues can be supporting, conducting, and protective. On the basis of composition, permanent tissues can be simple or complex. Supporting tissue, simple permanent tissue. There are three types of supporting tissues in plants: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Parenchyma. Para, beside, enchyma, infusion. Structure. The parenchyma cells are thin-walled and oval, rounded, or polygonal in shape. Cells are loosely packed. Intercellular spaces are present in between the cells. Each cell encloses a single large central vacuole, cytoplasm, and a prominent nucleus. Distribution. Parenchyma is found in softer parts of all plants like the epidermis, cortex or the outer region, pit, the central region of the roots, and stem and leaf mesophyll. It is also found in the xylem and phloem. Functions. It stores food material as in potato and sweet potato. It provides temporary support to the plants by keeping the cells rigid. Parenchyma cells form the basic packing tissue and protect the internal tissues. In the leaves of green plants, parenchyma tissue contains chloroplast and is also called Sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma thus helps in photosynthesis. In many aquatic plants, parenchyma cells have well-developed air spaces and the tissue is known as aerenchyma. In hydrophytes, aerenchyma helps to keep the buoyancy. Collenchyma, col, glue, enchyma or enchyma, infusion. Structure. The cells of collenchyma are living, somewhat elongated with cellulose thickening at the corners. Internally, each cell possesses a large central vacuole, peripheral cytoplasm, and a nucleus. Distribution. Collenchyma is usually found beneath the epidermis in the stem and the petiole or leaf stalk of dicot plants. It is usually absent in monocot plants. Functions. It supports parts of the plant by providing tensile strength and rigidity due to thickening of walls. It provides elasticity to the plant. Sclerenchyma. Sclerose, hard. Structure. These are elongated narrow cells with tapering ends. On maturity, they lose their protoplasm and become dead. Their cell wall is very thick due to deposition of lignin, which acts as a cement and hardens it. Central cavity of the cell is highly reduced due to the formation of secondary thickening. Sclerenchyma tissues are of two types, fibers and sclereids. Distribution. These are found in stems and veins of leaves. Functions. Sclerenchyma provides mechanical strength to the plant parts. It protects the plant from environmental forces like strong winds. It makes plant hard and stiff. The husk of coconut is made up of sclerenchyma tissue. Did you know that sclereids form a major part of walnut shells and of other nuts? They form an important part of bark of trees. They provide grittiness to the pulp of fruits and provide strength to seed coverings. Conducting tissue, complex permanent tissue. Complex tissues are made up of more than one type of cells which work in close coordination to perform a common function. These tissues are also called vascular tissues, which provide a channel for movement of water and dissolved minerals up and down the plant. The main complex tissue in vascular plants are xylem and phloem. Xylem. Xylem is a complex tissue which forms a part of vascular bundle. It is mainly concerned with the conduction of water and minerals. It also provides mechanical support to the plant. Xylem cells are thick-walled. As a conducting strand, xylem forms a continuous channel through the root, stem, leaves, and other aerial parts. All xylem tissue forms the wood and does not conduct water or minerals. Xylem consists of 4 types of cells like vessels, tracheids, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. Xylem vessels and tracheids are long tube-like structures with hard and thick cell walls. The transverse walls get dissolved and make a continuous tube to transport water. They help in upward movement of water and minerals from roots to aerial parts of the plant. Xylem fibers, which are found in woody dicotyledonous plants. They provide mechanical strength to plant body. Xylem parenchyma are the only living components of the xylem. These are concerned with the storage of food and other vital functions. They also help in conduction of water and minerals. Phloem. Flows. Bark. Phloem is the chief food conducting tissue of plants. Unlike xylem, materials can move in both directions in phloem. It is responsible for the downward and upward movement of food prepared in leaves to other parts of the plant. The basic components of phloem are sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and phloem fibers. Except phloem fibers, which are dead, all other members of phloem tissue are living. The sieve tubes are elongated tubular conducting channels which are placed end to end. The sieve plates connect the protoplast to the adjacent sieve tube members. Companion cells lie on the sides of sieve tubes and are closely associated with them. They help sieve tubes in conduction of water. Phloem parenchyma are ordinary living parenchyma cells associated with phloem. They store food. Phloem fibers are dead sclerenchyma fibers. They provide mechanical strength. The textile fibers of flax, hemp, and jute are phloem fibers. Xylem and phloem together form vascular bundle. For example, leaf veins, which are continuity with the conducting tissue of stem and roots. Protective plant tissue. Epidermis. Epidermis is the outermost protective tissue of plant. It consists of cells with thick walls. The outer walls of epidermis are usually thick and covered with organic substances like cutin. The thick cutinized wall of epidermis greatly reduces the loss of water by transpiration. Wax is also present on the upper surface of floating leaves. It protects them from wilting. Cork. As roots and stem grow older with time, protective tissues at the periphery undergo changes and become cork cells. Cork in mature woody stem is made up of dead, thick-walled and highly suberized cells which protect the inner tissues. It provides insulation from freezing temperatures. In this slide, let us see the different types of plant tissues. Plant tissues is broadly classified into meristematic tissue, which is actively dividing cells, and permanent tissue, which is non-dividing cells. Meristematic tissue is further divided into apical meristem, intercalary meristem, lateral meristem. In permanent tissue, it is divided into simple permanent tissue, which is supporting tissue, and complex permanent tissue, which is conducting tissue. Simple permanent tissue is further divided into parenchyma, soft filling tissue, collenchyma, elongated thickened cells, sclerenchyma, thickened lignified cell walls. Complex permanent tissue is further divided into xylem, which is water conducting, and phloem, which is food conducting. In sclerenchyma, thickened lignified cell walls are further divided into fibers and sclereids. Animal tissues. 4 major types of tissues are found in animals. They are epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue, and nervous tissue. Epithelial tissue. Epi, which means upon, thalio, to grow. An epithelium is a tissue composed of one or more layers of thin, protective, continuous sheet of cells covering the external surface of body and internal body organs. Location. It lines the body cavity and cavities of internal body organs, blood vessels, and ducts. Examples are lining of internal surface of mouth, gut, nose, outermost layer of the skin, etc. Shape. The epithelial cells may be flat, cuboidal, or columnar in shape. Characteristics of epithelial tissue. The cells of epithelium are closely placed and form continuous sheets having no space between them. Blood vessels are absent in epithelial tissue. Let's see the functions of epithelial tissue. Protection. Epithelial tissue protects the underlying tissues from mechanical injury, entry of germs, drying up as on skin, and harmful chemicals. Absorption. Epithelial lining of the intestine absorbs water and nutrients from the digested food. Secretion. Epithelial lining of digestive glands and endocrine glands secrete useful secretions. Exchange of materials. Epithelial lining of alveoli in lungs helps in exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between blood and inhaled air. Formation of gametes. Germinal epithelium lining the seminiferous tubules and ovaries produce spermatozoa and ova respectively. Sensory functions. Sensory epithelium in sense organs such as skin, eye, ear, nose receive sensory stimuli and convey nerve impulses to the central nervous system. Now let's see the types of epithelium. Based on the structure and organization of the cells, the epithelial tissue is classified into 5 types as follows: squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium, stratified epithelium, and glandular epithelium. Squamous epithelium. It is formed by flattened polygonal cells which are closely fitted together like tiles in a mosaic floor. Location. The squamous epithelium lines the blood vessels, lymph vessels in Bowman's capsule, lining of mouth and nasal cavities and alveoli of lungs. Functions. It protects the underlying parts from mechanical injury, germs, and drying up. Cuboidal epithelium. It is made up of cuboidal cells that are more or less square shaped, that are of equal height and width. In the surface view, they look polygonal in shape. The nuclei are round in shape and lie in the center of the cells. It is present in kidneys, tubules, sweat glands, and salivary glands where it provides mechanical strength. Columnar epithelium. Columnar means pillar-like. It is formed of tall, pillar-like or brick-like cylindrical cells lying side by side. The cells are much taller than they are wide. Their nuclei lie in the basal part. The columnar epithelium is found in the inner lining of gastrointestinal tract where absorption and secretion takes place. Columnar ciliated epithelium. It consists of columnar cells with cilia on their free surface, which keeps lashing and moving the material entering the organs. It lines the trachea or the windpipe. Stratified epithelium. It contains of epithelial cells arranged in several layers or strata of similar or different kinds of epithelial cells. Skin and the cornea. Glandular epithelium. It contains some large-sized cells which secrete mucus. These cells are found in mucous membranes of stomach, intestine, and rectum. The glandular epithelium is also folded inwards to form tubular hollow glands such as sweat glands, tear glands, and the liver. Stratified epithelium. It consists of epithelial cells arranged in several layers or strata of similar or different kinds of epithelial cells. It is found in skin and the cornea. Glandular epithelium. It contains some large-sized cells which secrete mucus. These cells are found in the mucous membranes of stomach, intestine, and rectum. The glandular epithelium is also folded inward to form tubular hollow glands such as sweat glands, tear glands, and the liver. Muscular tissue. The muscle tissue consists of long, narrow cells called muscle fibers. The adjacent muscle fibers are held together by connective tissue. The muscle fibers contract and relax and bring about movement of body parts. Types of muscular tissue. In human beings, 3 types of muscles are present. Striated muscles, which are also called voluntary muscles, unstriated muscles, involuntary muscles, cardiac muscles. Let's see the striated muscles first. These muscles are also called skeletal muscles as they are attached to the bones. Their movement is under our will. Hence, they are called voluntary muscles. Striated muscles are present in the body wall, arms, legs, tongue, face, neck, etc. Collectively, these muscles constitute about 50% of our body weight. A striated muscle consists of long, narrow, cylindrical, unbranched fibers with blunt ends. Cytoplasm contains myofibrils which show alternating light and dark bands and striations. Each muscle fiber has many nuclei. Unstriated muscles. These muscles are also called smooth muscles as they lack transverse striations or bands. Their movement is not under our will, and hence they are called involuntary muscles. These muscle cells are spindle-shaped and are arranged in bundles. Myofibrils found in cytoplasm do not show light and dark bands. Each muscle cell is with one nucleus. Unstriated muscles are found in alimentary canal, urinary bladder, dermis of skin, iris of the eye, blood vessels, etc. Cardiac muscles. These muscles are exclusively present in the heart. These muscles are involuntary and work rhythmically, tirelessly. contracting and relaxing endlessly from early embryonic stage until death. These muscles are cylindrical, striated, and short. Cardiac muscles are branched. The muscle filaments are connected with dark junctions called intercalated discs. Connective tissue. Connective tissue is a binding and supporting tissue. It is distributed throughout the body and forms about 30% of the body weight. It forms a sheath around the organs. Basically, connective tissue has an abundance of intracellular substance, matrix, connective tissue cells, and connective tissue fibers. Cells of connective tissue are loosely packed. It is non-living and also called packing tissue. Functions of connective tissue. It binds one organ with another, for example, muscles with skin, muscles with bones. It forms a supporting framework of cartilage and bones in the body. It forms a protective sheath around the delicate organs such as spleen, kidneys, and testes, etc. Types of connective tissue. The major connective tissue in human body are connective tissue proper, supportive connective tissue, which is cartilage and bones, fluid connective tissue, which is blood and lymph. Connective tissue proper. It helps in packaging and binding the organs. It is of three types. Areolar connective tissue. It is most widely distributed connective tissue. It is found beneath the epidermis of the skin. Functions. Areolar connective tissue binds the skin with muscles, attaches blood vessels and nerves to the surrounding tissues. It makes the skin elastic to withstand stretching. Fibrous connective tissue, tendons and ligaments. It consists of fiber-forming cells, tendons and ligaments. Tendons are tough and inelastic. The matrix contains unbranched white collagen fibers. They connect muscles with bones. Ligaments are elastic due to the presence of yellow elastic fibers in matrix and connect one bone with another. Adipose fat tissue. Adipose tissues acts as a padding under the skin which acts as an insulator for retaining body weight. It forms the internal supportive network and framework of the body. Cartilage. Cartilage is a non-porous tissue and consists of matrix. It has no nerves or blood vessels. Cartilage cells called chondrocytes are present in fluid-filled spaces called lacunae. Cartilage is semi-transparent and elastic. Cartilage is present in the larynx, trachea, at the end of the bones, nasal sputum, and in between ribs and sternum. Bone. Bone is a rigid and hard porous tissue. It consists of concentric bone layers called lamellae, which surround a long hollow passageway, namely Haversian canals. The bone cells are called osteocytes. These are star-shaped. Each cell is enclosed in a small cavity called the lacunae. It has good supply of blood vessels and nerves and consists of inorganic salts and living cells. The Haversian canals surround blood vessels and nerve cells throughout the bone. Fluid connective tissue, blood and lymph. Both blood and lymph are fluid connective tissues. Blood consists of blood corpuscles suspended in blood plasma. Plasma is a straw-colored fluid which contains 85 to 90% water and 5 to 10% of cellular elements like red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Lymph is a transparent light yellow fluid. Lymph is chemically similar to blood plasma except that it contains very little proteins and it does not contain RBCs. It is not red in color due to the absence of RBCs. It contains white blood corpuscles called leukocytes. Lymph is present in the intercellular spaces, hence it is called the tissue fluid. Blood and lymph flow to all parts of the body and thus help in transportation of nutrients and provide immunity. Let's see what RBCs are. RBCs are circular, bioconcave, disc-like and lack nuclei. This increases their surface area for gaseous exchange and accommodates more hemoglobin in them. Nervous tissue. Nervous tissue consists of nerve cells or neurons. A bundle of nerve cells form nerves. A neuron or nerve cell is structural and functional unit of the nervous system. A typical nerve cell consists of cell body or cyton, axon, dendrons and dendrites. Cell body or cyton has a prominent nucleus and cytoplasm. From the cell body arise several branches called dendrites or dendrons. One of the branches may be very long in comparison to others. This branch is called axon. The bundle of axons form a nerve. The axon terminates into axon endings. The axon endings of one nerve cell is loosely placed on the cell body or cyton of another nerve cell. This loose connection between axon endings of one nerve cell and the cyton of the next nerve cell is called synapse. The other small branches given out by cyton are called dendrons, which further divide to form dendrites. Nervous tissue helps in perception of stimuli and its response very rapidly from one part of the body to other. The brain, spinal cord and nerves are composed of nervous tissue. Let's see the different types of animal tissues. Animal tissues can be classified as epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue and nervous tissue. Epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue is classified as squamous epithelium, location, blood vessels, lymph vessels and alveoli of lungs. Cuboidal epithelium, location, uniferous tubules, branch of lungs and sweat glands. Columnar epithelium, location, stomach, intestine and gallbladder. Stratified epithelium, location, skin and cornea. Glandular epithelium, location, mucous membranes of stomach, intestine and rectum. Let's see the divisions in connective tissue. Areola connective tissue. Location is binds muscles with skin, attaches blood vessels and nerves to surrounding tissue and dermal skin. Fibrous connective tissue, which is further divided into tendons and ligaments. Location is muscles and bones. Adipose tissue. Location under skin, kidneys, eyeball and ovaries. Cartilage. Location is larynx, trachea at the end of the bones and nasal sputum. Bone. Location, bones. Fluid connective tissue. Location for blood is blood vessels and for lymph it is intercellular spaces. Muscular tissue. Muscular tissue can be classified as striated muscles. Location is body wall, tongue, limbs and pharynx. Unstriated muscles. Location is alimentary canal, urinary bladder, blood vessels, ducts of glands. Cardiac muscles. Location is heart. Nervous tissue. Nervous tissue is a group of nerve cells or neurons. Location is brain, spinal cord and nerves.